If you're in the market for an action camera that has lots of accessories, really cheap, works well and can take videos up to 4K at 30 frames a second, photos at 20 megapixels, this may be of interest to you. The AKASO Brave 7 LE action camera is one of a long line of cameras that AKASO make. I will leave links in the description below for this camera, also links to their website where they do a lot of other outdoor activity gear. As you would expect, the camera did come very well packed. They seem to get an awful lot of equipment in one small box. The AKASO Brave 7 LE action camera is a dual screen camera. It does look very similar to another dual screen camera that's on the market, only a third of the price. But in this case you will get a ton of accessories with the camera. When the camera is removed from the packaging, you will find it in the waterproof casing. On the back of the casing you will find some protective film. Now this has information on it how to get in, open and close the case. I suggest you read this before removing it. I was very pleased to see that it does have the GoPro accessory interface. There is a lever lock system on this case. This will need to be opened to remove the camera. I have in the past with other cameras that are pretty similar, trying to remove the camera from the waterproof casing can be quite difficult. With this combination the camera comes out with ease. On both ends on the top of the camera can be found rubber, also on each of the buttons. The camera is dual screened. There's a large screen on the back and a smaller screen on the front. It is water resistant using the IPX7 standard. This means that each button, microphone and speaker is water resistant. Each of the access ports on the camera has a rubber seal. There are two access ports, one for the battery and micro SD card and one for the micro USB and HDMI sockets. Unlike any other cameras in its category, this does have a 1/4-20 socket in the bottom of the camera. This is good for me as it does open up the opportunity to use a lot of my camera accessories. On both the camera lens, front and rear screen there is a protective film. This will need to be removed before using your camera. My first impressions of the camera, it does have a look and feel of quality. The micro SD card slot can be found inside the battery compartment. The card itself needs to be a class 10 or UHS I rating and the capacity can be up to 64 gig. As with the camera, the Perspex waterproof casing has protective film both on the front and the back. This needs to be removed before use. Don't forget to read the information before removing the protective screens. On the bottom of the waterproof casing, a GoPro accessory port can be found. Within the kit of accessories that came with this camera, there is a multitude of connectors that can be connected to this casing. The case is made from high impact Perspex and can go down to a depth of 30 meters or 98 feet. Keeping the door closed and locked, there is a lever lock system. Around the outer edge of the rear door is rubber. This is to form a good seal to protect your camera. Although your camera is water resistant, I would suggest using this waterproof casing every time you go in water. Also included with this camera is a watch styled remote controller. There are two buttons that will light up when pressed. One will control the start and stop of video, the other will take photos. The strap is made of rubber. I thought this was a really good addition for this camera. You will not get a memory card with this camera, you will need to provide your own. The micro SD slot can be found inside the battery compartment. The card will need to be either a class 10 or UHS I rating. The capacity of the card can be up to 64 GB. The camera kit will have a large amount of accessories that you can use to connect your camera to things like bikes, helmets or anything else you want to put your camera on. Two rechargeable batteries which are lithium ion rated at 1350 mAh are provided with this camera. The charger module is a quick charger. Now this will charge up both batteries at the same time. The charging lead goes from USB to micro USB. You are not provided with a mains charger, you will need to provide your own. On the one end of the charging module you will find the micro USB port. The charging module will support up to 2 batteries. These will charge both batteries at the same time. With the provided lead, plug the micro USB end into the module. As previously mentioned, the batteries are lithium ion and are rated at 1350 mA. There are 3 small connectors on each of the batteries. These will line up with the charger connectors and the batteries simply push into place. Once the batteries are fully pushed in, plug in the other end of the USB lead into your charger. The LEDs on the charger unit will turn red. Once charged, will turn green. The charger has all the usual protections of overcurrent, voltage and charge. There is a small tab on each of the batteries. This will allow you to grab the battery and pull it to remove it out of the camera bay. When fitting the battery into the camera, it will only go in one way. When put in, push it fully home before closing the waterproof access flap. The only written information inside the kit was a quick start guide. This is very basic information in picture format. More importantly, on the back of this user guide is a QR code for the user manual and the URL for their website. On the website you will see a multitude of cameras that the AKASO people make, but more so the Brave 7 LE action camera user manual can be obtained from here. The manual is in PDF format. It is well laid out and also in very good English. Other sections of the manual are in different languages like German, Spanish, French, Italian and Chinese. While you are waiting for your batteries to charge up, I would suggest strongly to go through the manual, check all the functions what this camera has got to offer and how to access them. The screen on the back of the camera is touch sensitive. The screen on the back of the camera is a 2-inch touch sensitive. The screen on the front is 1.25 inches and it is not touch sensitive. All its functionality can be used by using the rear touch screen. Simple swipes from the left, right, top and bottom will take you to various screens. On the top of the camera there is a mode button. This will also take you to the setup screens. Here all of the parameters can be changed and altered to suit your needs. So the big question is, if it's touchscreen on the back, why have a mode button on the top? The simple answer is, when the waterproof casing is used, the touchscreen cannot be used. This will enable you to change any of the parameters to suit your requirements when using the waterproof casing. So to recap, using the mode button, push it once and you can see here we're stepping through the various sections that we might need to go into. Also the mode button can be used to swap from the rear to the front screen. Simply press and hold this for 2 seconds and you will be able to swap screens from front to rear or rear to front. The camera does have Wi-Fi when enabled. This, in conjunction with the app from AKASO, will allow you to control your camera by Wi-Fi. The AKASO Go app is available both for iOS and Android. It is freely available from the app stores. Once the app has been downloaded and installed on your mobile device, you will need to give it the usual access for the photo, media and files on your device. With the camera switched on, press the power button quickly to enable the Wi-Fi. In your settings on your mobile device, go to Wi-Fi. You should see the Brave 7 LE SSID. Log on to this using the default password of 1234567890. When entered, press the connect icon. Once the connection has been established, go back into the AKASO Go app. Tap on the Add Camera, scroll down to the Brave 7 LE camera and select it. In the future, your mobile device will remember this connection. If the app cannot see the Wi-Fi signal, it will remind you to press quickly the power button to turn on the Wi-Fi on the camera. One thing to remember here is that the app, when it's got control of your camera, you will not see nothing on the small screens on your camera. All the camera's functionalities will be transferred to the app on your mobile device. This will enable you to start and stop video, take photographs or change any of the parameters in the setup. Being able to do this on your mobile device is a bonus, as the camera may be at a distance from you. The Wi-Fi is a little limited, but make sure there's nothing between you and the camera to degrade the connection. Included in the accessories is a wristwatch style controller. This is extremely useful if wearing the camera on a helmet or on the handlebars of a bike. There are two buttons here, one to start and stop video, the other to take photographs. The camera's Wi-Fi does not need to be set on when using this remote controller. The corresponding LED will light up when the button is pressed. When setting up stills or video, the camera does have the ability to zoom in or out. On the right hand side of the touchscreen you'll see a plus and minus icon. Repeatedly pressing either the plus or the negative will either zoom in or zoom out as shown. Photos can be anywhere between 2 and 20 megapixel. Also available is burst photo, time-lapse, self-time and long exposures. Although the camera is water resistant to the IPX7 standard, I would suggest strongly that if you are going to venture into do any water sports, then use the waterproof casing that has been provided. This will keep your camera dry to depths of 30 meters or 98 feet. The manual suggests that the camera microphone will not work whilst inside the casing, but you will hear some sounds. All videos shown here will be in 4K at 30 frames per second. The internal microphone on the camera is not the best in the world. The next voices you will hear will be from that microphone.
This is with no stabilization on at all. This is with stabilization on. This is with no stabilization on. This is with stabilization on.
I did put the camera on the front bonnet of my car and done a driving test around the local town. Once the camera was on the bonnet, it was a little difficult to see the screen either back or front, so I did use the mobile app to set the camera up. With the camera on the bonnet, I was still able to start and stop the video using the small wristwatch controller. I did find this very useful indeed. The videos shown here were in 4K at 30 frames a second with stabilization switched on. I then positioned the camera giving a side view whilst driving along. There was a little bit of stability difference between forward facing and side on views. When face on you could hardly detect you were going over speed ramps, but side on you could detect a little bit of movement and vibration. When using the camera in any scenario where moving fast either on a vehicle, bike or skateboard, you will get wind noises from the mic. There is an option for wind noise reduction. This does work on slower speeds but not so good on fast speeds. The micro USB port is for future updates and can also be used as a power source if required. The HDMI port uses a micro HDMI lead. Now you will have to provide this yourself. It will enable you to connect to a field monitor or PC screen that has HDMI input. When the HDMI lead is plugged into the camera, both of the screens front and back will be disabled. Using a field monitor or PC monitor is ideal for getting the camera into positions you would not normally get a larger camera in. The microphone is located between the two buttons on the top of the camera. This is what the microphone sounds like approximately 2 feet away from the subject.
The microphone is only a small pinhole microphone in the top of the camera. Do not expect any high fidelity audio that's been recorded.
I was curious to find out how long the battery would last on continuous record. So I set the camera up with the back screen continuously on and set at 4K 30 frames per second, and it did last just under 2 hours and 5 minutes, which was quite impressive for one battery. I have been using the camera now for some time, both in the workshop here and also on film locations. As an action camera, it does work extremely well, and also, more importantly for me, for general use. Along with the 2 batteries and charger they supply with the camera, you get a good selection of accessories. Matching it against other cameras that I have of same size and abilities, I do rate this one quite high. More so, it's approximately either a half or a third of the price of other cameras on the market. Stability and picture quality I found extremely good. AKASO did send me this camera to try and to test. I hope you found this information of use to you. Thank you for watching.